Hello, hello, and good morning. Happy Friday. It's Fun Friday, August 15th, 2025. As you see, Ted Rall is back. I am Manila Chan. You are indeed tuned in to the Ted Manila Information Show, the TMI Show for short, because we bring you way too much information. We are live Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, so please be sure to hit the like and the follow button, the subscribe button if you're consuming this on YouTube. Thank you so much for your support because the show is continuing to grow. So that's all good news. And we're finally starting to be able to make a little tiny bit of dough, Ted, a little bit to pay the internet bills.
Yeah, we need to make more than that. A lot more than that.
We need more than that, though.
A lot more than
that. But yes, we appreciate you being here wherever you're consuming this content, even if it's audio only. We appreciate you being there. And as we continue to grow this thing, we still need you to share it. So that way more people can learn that we're here. Because we're almost, Ted, we're coming very close to a year very soon.
That's true. It was September.
Very soon. We're coming up on a year. We were all laid off mid-September. So about a month from now, it's about a year anniversary since we were all laid off of our jobs because, we're... would we be Russian influencers? Could they call us that?
Well, they could. Well, we weren't Russian, so
I know, but
I wouldn't mind being Russian. I'm just not Russian.
I know, neither am I. But according to the State Department, we're Russian propagandists.
Yeah, that's what they said.
American.
That's what they said.
So here we are. So
that's funny.
Speaking of which,
Go ahead. No, speaking of which, what?
Oh, speaking of which, so Trump just took off for his Alaska meeting with Putin about an hour and a half ago. So he's probably somewhere over, I would assume, over Western Pennsylvania at this point, probably.
Sounds about right.
And Putin just touched down a little while ago.
Okay. Well,
so Ted, I think
he's having brunch with Sarah Palin. So.
Well, I mean, she waves at him from her front door.
She does.
So I imagine Putin's getting there a little bit early because he's going to rest up.
Right, jet lag.
He's going to do some
he has a longer trip, right? I mean, I think
does he?
I think this location was chosen because it's roughly halfway. It was either Eastern Russia, like Vladivostok, or it was going to be Alaska. And, basically, Trump has the slightly shorter trip. It's going to be probably
7 hours.
Yeah, maybe. I would think it's a little longer than that. I'm not sure, but I'm guessing more maybe closer to 8.
DC to LA is about 5.5.
Yeah, but this is much further north.
DC is
5. And also, you are going against when you go east to west, it takes longer than from going west to east. I think it's more like 6.5 to LA. From
when I fly direct, from New York, from DCA to LAX, it takes me about 5.5 hours. And coming back though, it's a quick 5 hours. Just I don't know what that is.
Winds. Yeah.
Oh well, so
in the United States, prevailing winds run basically from west to east. Basically, it's like sort of a U, but yeah.
Okay, so I guess that explains why. I was always like, why is it faster coming back from LAX?
It's the wind. It's God blowing in your sails. Yeah.
So yeah, Putin's already there. Trump barely took off.
Right.
So I think their meeting will be like 4 local time ish.
Yeah.
Thereabouts.
I hope that I don't know. It's only meant to be like 1 day or 2, maybe.
For our time. Sorry.
I hope that they stick. I mean, honestly, I would like both of these guys to work through the weekend and into next week and really get something done.
No, it's a 1-day thing. It's a right now.
But Trump I would think if you were making some progress, you might say, okay, let's roll up our sleeves. But all right, we have stuff to talk about. Yeah. And we're not doing that as a main topic because right now it's all speculation. We don't know anything. We don't know anything. We will know all by Monday.
Yeah, we'll know a little something maybe at about 4-5 p.m. Eastern time, but that's just when it's about to start. And so maybe they might have runners come out and giving the media little droppings.
No, they
maybe.
Won't. No, they won't.
I don't think they will, but they could, and they have done that. Putin is taking an all-star delegation. Sergey Lavrov is going to be there, so I'm like, ooh, Sergey Lavrov. Like, I know
You are
I'm
the
weird.
weirdest fangirl of all time.
Like, oh, Sergey Lavrov. I love Sergey Lavrov.
It's like the Beatles at Idlewild and Sergey Lavrov.
Sergey Lavrov. And you know what?
Would you be screaming like one of those girls?
I would be. No, because I would try to maintain my journalistic stoicism a little bit, but inside I'd be going, oh my god,
Your face.
and I'm not like that when I'm
You
eating.
are so strange.
I know, but you know what? Scary Girl in the Rumble chat, she's a big Sergey Lavrov-y too.
All right. Well, I'll leave you.
Love Lavrov-y
You know, we
too.
all have our kinks, as we'll talk about later in the show.
It's our middle-aged woman thing, I think.
Might be a perimenopausal.
Sergey Lavrov.
You guys are crazy.
Putin doesn't do it for me. Trump doesn't do it for me. Sergey Lavrov, I'm like,
shall we cut to it?
All right. So with that, today's topic is going to be kind of a bunch of weird stuff. Like this global talk on plastic. Big fail. Also, the felony assault with a deadly sandwich.
Awesome.
On ICE agents. Then we're going to talk about fashion. And I'm going to say this is like the death of fashion, but the people that are criticizing this are calling it cultural appropriation. Adidas is in the news, or Adidas, as apparently I've been told by the reps.
I didn't know that.
Because it's two dudes. Like Puma is the sister company, literally, or brother company, rather, because it was two dudes, Adi and Das, these German guys, Adi and Das. So it's two brothers.
See, that's too much information.
Yeah, Adi and Das. So I actually, when I worked in fashion magazines, that's what their reps told me. They're like, actually, stupid American, it's pronounced Adi. And I was like, oh.
And we'll also be talking about why chicks be getting divorced.
It's called gray divorce. It's a thing.
Or meno divorce.
No, see, I don't like that, and I'll get into that with you later. It's bullshit. It's called gray divorce because we can all go gray, but only biological females go through menopause, and you men go through andropause, which most people don't even know about.
Not to be confused with an angle poised lamp.
Angle? I don't even know what that is. It's
like an architecture desk. In architecture,
it comes from the term androgyny, which David Bowie, which you and I both love. David Bowie, who we love, was famous for making the androgynous look a thing.
I love my David Bowie, but I never cared about his fashion. But I understand why.
You didn't like Ziggy Stardust?
I'm not against it. I'm just about the music. I don't care what people look like. I think the Ramones looks great. For me, it's about the music.
Well, for sure, but obviously David Bowie brought forth the era of.
Yeah, no argument that he's a fashion icon. I'm just saying I don't really care much about fashion. Obviously,
there is a part of me that still loves fashion. I can't help it, but this is we'll talk about this. So, but anyway, that's the whole gray divorce thing is the thing. And last but not least, we will talk about weed, because Trump, who doesn't even drink alcohol, much less smoke weed, might be softening his stance. So that's pretty cool.
That's true. And that's actually news that's been, it's important. It's relevant to a lot of our listeners, and it hasn't been widely reported.
Which is surprising because, our demographic seems to really, really toke that weed, Ted. They like the pot, man.
They do.
I get it. I used to like it too. But I don't know. For whatever reason, it turned me into. I was like the classic stoner where I could magically make a giant bag of Doritos or Cheetos appear. Just poof.
Well, nothing wrong with that.
But anyway, Trump is getting soft on that.
Thank you, Ray, for gifting a subscription. Much appreciated.
Ray has been gifting subscriptions left and right. Thank you, Ray.
Ray's a mensch.
Wait,
All right, let's Jaws.
Ray picked up a new job, so we got to congratulate him on air. So he's become gainfully employed since we.
Oh, congratulations!
Yeah, so congrats to Ray. And now he's sharing all his good blessings with some of our regular Rumblers. So if you're in the Rumble chat, many of you guys know each other. I think that's a wonderful thing that we've actually developed a little TMI community, Ted, that was with us from Radio Sputnik. These are folks that were from Radio Sputnik.
That's awesome.
So I really love that. And real quick, Ted, you got to give us quick takeaways about your Montana adventure. You didn't get eaten by bears. Scott Stantis and I were convinced you were going to be, but then we thought maybe the bears would reject you because of your skinny jeans.
I saw because of the skinny jeans, the bears didn't see me, but also somehow I didn't see bears. I didn't see moose. I was sad about that. But there wasn't really a lot of wildlife. Really, truly.
Did you try to see them?
Yes, I did. I was looking for them. I was like, bear. But they
come out wherever you are.
Yeah. But no, I mean, look, it's Montana's cool. It's really, it's everything that people say. Sparsely populated, stunningly beautiful. It's basically, imagine like Washington State or Oregon, in like Eastern Oregon, where it's like very tall conifers all over the place, but it's high altitude. You're pretty much everything's at 3,000 feet or higher. And big mountains everywhere. It does remind me a little bit of Kazakhstan. It was but it's it's also it's the Old West, right? I mean, there's saloons more than there are bars. I actually drove by.
What's the difference?
Well, a saloon is like the Old West, like with the swinging doors and. That kind of out front.
They actually have swinging doors still on them?
I saw a place with the swinging doors, old school. I think it might date back to the day. So
wow.
Yeah, so it's cool. It's very cool. The people are wonderful, very nice. You do see a lot of religious stuff, a lot of like signs like Jesus all day, every day, and stuff like that.
That's Jesus.
You don't see as many. I don't think it's Jesus. You don't see as many Trump signs as I expected. You see more of those in New York State, but you definitely see a lot of Christian stuff all over the place. A lot of crosses, a lot of
you'll be writing a thing about like housing.
I am. I'm not going to give that away too much, but what producer Robbie said about the housing situation is completely true. I mean, so one of the things I like to do is look at when you walk by a real estate office, and if you're in a town you've never been to before, they have the ads in the window, and so there was one place that was like $2.5 million, and I'm like, okay, well, what kind of house do you get for $2.5 million? And the answer is you don't get a house. The answer is you get an apartment, a 3-bedroom apartment. I was like,
in Montana?
In Montana, yeah, and not even like. By the way, this was not an apartment that faces a river or a lake. It's just in town. Now, granted, it's a nice apartment, but it's an apartment. It's not like holy crap apartment.
So you don't get like sprawling acres attached to the property.
It's not 20,000 square feet. Like it's not like how the top of the Woolworth building in New York. Two apartments per floor. It's not it's for Saudi sheiks. It's not like that. Right. It's like it's
wow.
And so I mean the thing is that the price of housing is, I mean, I would say comparable to New York City. And the thing is, they have the very, very high prices and very low wages, right? So that's a deadly combination.
Unsustainable combination.
I mean, look, honestly, I went to get a margarita. It was $15 at the saloon. My local bar, it's $8.
What?
Yeah. So.
Yeah, you can get margaritas pretty cheap in DC. Other drinks, not so much, but a margarita you can get pretty cheap. But that's nuts. So we'll let us know when you write that. So we'll Jaws it, and hopefully you get that out at the Wall Street Journal soon.
That'll be that's
the plan.
I'm hoping so. All right, let's just Jaws it. Global talks to develop a landmark treaty to end plastic pollution has once again failed. UN negotiations, this was round 6 of the talks in just under 3 years, were supposed to end yesterday, but the nations continued to negotiate into the night. and they were not able to break a deadlock. Sorry. There's a split between about 100 countries that want to completely eliminate or radically curtail the production of plastic. I'm on that team. And then there's the oil producing states, plastic is an oil byproduct, who just want to focus on recycling, because even though that doesn't work at reducing plastic in the ocean and everywhere else, they just want to do more of that. Speaking in the early hours of the night, the delegates from Cuba said that countries had missed a historic opportunity, but we have to keep going. Talks started 3 years ago in response to scientific evidence about the major risks of plastic pollution to human health and the environment. Manila, there was a study that came out just 2 weeks ago, we didn't talk about here, that said that just from sitting at home, you absorb an average of 68,000 microplastics per day in your body as an average person, just by chilling in your house.
Well, they say, I don't remember if it was an annual thing, or I think it might have been annual, because it was kind of a startling revelation to me. But they say as an annual thing, you actually get a credit card's worth of plastic into your body.
That is correct. And
horrible.
So even though obviously plastic is widespread everywhere, scientists are very worried about toxic chemicals that plastics contain, which can leach out as the plastics break down into smaller and smaller pieces. Microplastics are everywhere. They're in the soil, river, fish, animals, air, and of course your organs. They've been found in your brain, they've been found in your penis, they've been found in your vagina. They're everywhere. Countries had an original deadline to get a deal over the line at the end of December last year, but blew that one too. This latest collapse means that they fall even further behind. Speaking on behalf of the Pacific Island states, the Northern Pacific nation of Palau said, "We're repeatedly returning home with insufficient progress to show our people. It's unjust for us to bear the brunt of yet another global environmental crisis we contribute minimally to." And what he means there is that if you go to one of these islands, even in a very remote part of the planet, you will find the windward side of the island completely covered with plastic bottles and other crap that has washed in from the sea. And even if you don't produce, your little island doesn't produce or consume any plastics whatsoever, you're just being inundated, and the fish that you're pulling out of the sea are completely contaminated by plastics that they're ingesting. And of course, there's those famous massive islands of plastic that are so big in the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans that they have to be circumnavigated by international shipping lest they get stuck. So, I mean, it's a monstrous, the scale of the problem is monstrous, and the Palauans are right. The core dividing line between the nations is the same all throughout since the very beginning. Whether the treaty should tackle plastics at source by reducing production, or focus on managing the pollution that comes from it. The biggest oil-producing states, like the Saudis and Russia, view plastics, which are made from fossil fuels, as a vital part of their future economy, especially as the world moves away from petrol and diesel towards electric cars. These guys, the big plastic producers, argue that better waste collection and recycling infrastructure is the best solution. However, researchers say that this approach is fundamentally flawed. Global recycling rates are estimated at 10%, and they can't probably go much higher than that. So, Manila, we've got to really get serious here, but we're not going to, because as usual, big money controls it all. I would have no objection whatsoever to saying that there should be some kind of way for the richest countries in the world, including the United States, to perhaps pay the Russians and the Chinese to produce fewer plastics and say, okay, we'll throw some money your way if you guys ease off on that. But I mean, there's a lot of plastics that are used for things that we just, like plastic bags, pretty much shouldn't exist at all. And
we don't really need them.
And there's lots of stuff like that that should just be eliminated.
I did a whole 30 minutes deep dive episode on my old show, Modus Operandi, about this particular thing. Especially, I was focusing then at the time on how the EU was faking their numbers of saying that they were going green, their green initiative, and they were bullshitting. Just like we discovered here in the US, right, that we've been bullshitting our numbers. Now we find out the Europeans were bullshitting their numbers. And what they're doing is offshoring all of their shit that they cannot recycle, meaning 95% of it roughly, or 92% of it roughly, offshoring it to developing nations.
Yep.
And having them suss through what they can recycle, what they can reuse, what they can't. And then those that they can't do anything with, they end up just putting into like these giant ovens, think like a crematorium type thing, and billowing the smoke of burnt plastic into the air and giving toxic air to all the people that live in those areas. And then we go and wonder why the children are born with like a third arm, or like, a second head growing out of their necks. And we're like, oh, those third world countries, like those are where the freaks come from. Ted, do you think it might be the toxic forever chemicals in our plastics that we ship off to those third world countries that could perhaps be influencing why the rate of like bizarre childhood or bizarre birth defects come from? Just maybe. I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
Or just maybe it might be that maybe this might be impacting our male sperm fertility drop.
We're not doctors, Ted.
Maybe the giant spike in all sorts of cancers that we're seeing all over the place. I mean, yes, preservatives have an effect. I'm on Team RFK about that, but it's, obviously it doesn't take, you don't have to be a scientist to be like, obviously ingesting, you see plastics, you don't think I should eat them. So, they're not good for you and they're getting into your system, even if you actively try to avoid them. There's really nothing you can do. I mean, if you live in the most rural part, maybe of Montana, and you only have glass vessels and you hunt and fish, you probably have lower plastic consumption than someone like you or me. But it's. I mean, I'm sure you do. But it's still, you're still going to get it.
I bet Ted Kaczynski had a strong male fertility sperm count.
Probably
very, very motile, I imagine. And I bet he had like no microplastics in his body. I bet he didn't. I bet his brain was as sharp when he died in prison.
Very sharp. He was.
As the day, he was teaching at Berkeley. I bet.
He had a column in Anarchy magazine that I used to subscribe to. I don't know if the magazine still exists or not. And it was he wrote it in prison, and it was a great column.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think microplastics probably also play a role in the dimming down of IQs. That there's a thing there too. People haven't really looked into that, but truly, it was like we climaxed, Ted, at the maximum IQ by the early 20th century, like on average around the world, and it has since been on a slow trickle decline. And
that's evident in many, many respects.
Yes, because by mid-century, in America at least, we started developing these petrol-based plastics like mid-century, right? It became a thing. It became our furniture. It became utensils. It became everything, packaging, everything. And subsequently, that's also decade by decade when you could see global declines in IQ.
Like, I knew we'd gone too far when the first time I saw a plastic straw that was wrapped in a plastic wrapper. That was like,
yes,
holy shit.
Plastic on plastic.
Look, I mean, honestly, I thought this is an important story to bring up because, if you kind of like wonder why we're fucked, this is one of the reasons why we're fucked.
Yeah, it's not just like woo-woo, Dr. Reese environmental stuff. This is like, this is going to impact you and your kids. He's totally right on that. Like,
and
people
this is
are like,
oh,
Dr. Reese, he's nutty.
I mean, like, seriously, we're not even paying. Look, the media is not even covering this plastics convention discussion, the treaty negotiation. So, of course,
infertility, IQ.
Citizens aren't pressuring their politicians if they don't know that something's happening.
Well, because we think we're separating our trash, so we're doing our part.
Yeah.
It actually goes to the same place at the end of the day. Surprise!
Yeah, almost all of it. That's true. There's really no demand for recycled goods. The vast majority of it, it's just sort of like, even if it's not just all tossed into the same garbage truck, which mostly it is, there's just no need for it. There's no industrial demand. So the whole thing is a completely flawed economic model.
It
just
sham.
doesn't work. What I would like to see, Manila, is like a state economy where you had like standard size containers that for lots of different things. So let's say so you'd have like say 10, like A through J type containers, and you're like, all right, so all like small dishwashing liquid is a C container, but the C container is also can be used for this, that, and the other, right? And then those get recycled all the time. And just like, it doesn't have to be 10, I'm just making up a number, but my point is that instead of having all sorts of different shapes and sizes, you have glass and metal vessels that are constantly returned and reused and repurposed over and over and over,
I can
hundreds
get with
of times.
Look,
we don't need these individual sized vessels,
I use steel coffee, steel water canteen.
Water tastes good out of metal too.
Yeah, I use this, and I don't buy the plastic water bottles because, Ted, people don't realize that when the grocery store gets deliveries of those pallets and pallets of water bottles and they sit in the back of the supermarket, delivery area, it gets sun rays on it, and the UV actually releases
and that's the
microplastic.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm against bottled water as a rule. The fact that water is brought from the island of Fiji to Maine is stupid. It should be illegal. It's water. The only appropriate place for bottled water is like Flint, Michigan, where the water is poisoned. But if you have decent tap water, no bottled water.
When I went to Iceland, I had heard that they had the best tap water in the whole world, right? Because of all the glacial melt. And basically they're like, yeah, your skin will be nicer, your hair will wash better, and you can drink the tap. Like they were like, yeah, tap water here is going to be better than any bottled water you can buy. So I was like, let's see. And I did, and I drank it. I was like, oh my God. Like, oh my God. Like this coming from the tap, and I held up the glass to the window.
So is this because of the volcanic thing where like
it's just they use the glacial melt. Like they actually use glacier water.
And they don't have a lot of industry, right? Iceland's main industry is tech and fishing, is my understanding.
Yes, they export a lot of fish. For whatever reason, they're not exporting their glacial melt water, but they use it for their own people.
Nor should they.
They use it for their own people, and they have indigenous people there, obviously, and everybody gets free water. They don't need to pay. It's part of it. Comes from your tap.
Water is a human right. Okay,
so
let's talk about human rights, including you have the right to party with a Subway sandwich. A man who used a Subway sandwich to attack a federal agent on the streets of Washington earlier this week has been charged with felony assault. Hilariously, this guy, Sean Charles Dunn, 37 years old, basically was caught on video Sunday night calling a group of ICE and Border and Customs Protection agents fascists. He's a former. In order to prove that they're not fascists, they have charged him with a felony for throwing his Subway sandwich at a Border and Customs control agent. He also faces 10 years in prison in order to also show that they're not fascists. And also to show that they're not fascists, he's been fired from his job as a low-ranking DOJ worker. Attorney General Pam Bondi announced that he's been fired. If you touch any law enforcement officer, we will come after you. She said, I just learned that this defendant worked at the Department of Justice no longer. Not only has he been fired, he's been charged with a felony. Jeanine Pirro of Fox News and also Attorney General of DC, he argued that this was not funny Judge Pirro, I beg to differ. This is funny. And
it's funny.
And she said that to prove that it's not funny, he's now going to face 10 years in prison. I'm like, no, that only makes it funnier, actually. So you're just increasing the fun factor. This is an example of the deep state we've been up against for 7 months.
Deep state.
He said, as we work to refocus DOJ. I hate to say it, but like if you throw a sandwich at the man and then the man throws you in prison for 10 years, you're the deep state, not the sandwich throwing dude.
That's what I was trying to understand. Like, what did she mean? Like, this is the deep state at play. Wait, is there a whole hoagie sandwich cabal
in her twisted
that I don't know about?
In her twisted
Can I be a member of that one, Ted?
He's saying, well, he worked at the DOJ, pre-career guy, pre-Trump, so therefore he's deep state and wreaking his horrific vengeance with his
foot-long sandwich.
With the sandwich. Now, I do think that there is one tragedy here, which is the wasting of a scrumptious, delicious treat, which I might Subway, personally have enjoyed eating. I do like Subway.
I do like Subway, but it's not, it's not.
But I don't know what it's. By the way, we don't have any data on what kind of sandwich was involved, and I hope that we get to the bottom of that. If it's if it's a salami sandwich, I would be really sad because that's my favorite. But I
like salami.
Yeah.
I do like Subway sandwiches, spicy Italian.
Okay, so spicy Italian might have been viewed as like an ethnic slur against the CBE agent in question. This reminded me, of course, obviously, of the Iraqi journalist who threw the shoe at George
Yes.
W. Bush.
So if the ICE agent
in that incident, that George Bush had amazing reflexes. He it's almost like he trained for that moment. But yeah, this is like that. I don't think this.
No, this ICE agent just got whipped like also square in the chest.
So bad.
But no, what made me laugh most was the guy that was videotaping it on the sidewalk. You could hear him going, "Oh shit, bro just threw a sandwich at the cop," and then so he whips it. I mean, he whips the foot long. And then he was like, ugh, like throws his hands up and then starts booking it. He just starts running away. And then you see like 3 or 4 agents chasing after him. And the guy videotaping is laughing the whole time going, oh shit, now it's a foot chase. Like
a foot chase for the foot long.
So funny. It was so funny. So Jeanine Pirro is wrong. Pam Bondi is wrong. The whole thing is funny.
No one can say, Manila, that we don't have the most dignified and upstanding country with the most dignified and upstanding law enforcement officers who have the best priorities in law enforcement. No one can say that.
I seriously cannot believe that they're pursuing serious charges against this guy for whipping a sandwich at the bulletproof vest of this Homeland agent.
Right.
He whipped a sandwich. We're going to throw tens and tens of thousands of dollars towards pursuing a case against this guy.
It's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Everything the government does is overpriced.
And if they were going to jail him, that's going to be like, $60,000, $70,000 a year.
This is so stupid.
Robbie will take that ad in about 2 minutes. So I just think that that's a really, really, I mean, look, obviously it's not going to happen. This is traditional overcharging. These are fascists. And like, look, I'm not saying people should be throwing scrumptious, delicious luncheon food stuff at law enforcement officers. Obviously, that's not right. But on the other hand, if you are an ICE goon, you kind of have it coming. Really, anything that happens to you is probably deserved. The Russians have an expression: if you see a Hungarian, beat him, he will know why. I feel that way about ICE guys. Like, if you see an ICE guy, throw your sandwich at him, he'll know why. And you don't even, by the way, how do we even know that this was an ICE person? They probably all masked up.
No, it was Homeland because they're in their green uniforms.
Oh, okay. All right. Whatever.
It was Homeland.
I mean, also the guy's not wrong. They are fascists. But like, look, I don't even know if there should even be a ticket. I mean, there should be some sort of, obviously it's not okay to do that. But, charging him with felony assault of an officer is like, look, they're humorless dicks, and that's basically what they're acting like,
Yeah, it could have been a hot cup of coffee, but it wasn't. It was a freaking foot-long sandwich.
My punishment for him would be to let the officer have a shot with his own food of his choice.
Just
like he can throw a turkey
slam.
At the guy. Like food fight,
I would be okay with reciprocal punishment. Reciprocal.
No, so you got to escalate a little bit because, otherwise it's like, because that guy escalated from nothing to sandwich. So then it should escalate from sandwich to whatever the next step is. 2 sandwiches?
No. Meatloaf.
Quinoa bowl?
Meatloaf.
Maybe?
You have to mash a meatloaf into the guy's face.
Yeah, I mean, you that would be fair.
It's substantive.
Right.
That's substantive and messy.
Or if you want to go like really hardcore, like chicken vindaloo, spicy.
Ooh, but the sandwich wasn't going to drench you like throwing butter chicken at a guy.
And by the way, this is also another thing. I mean, I hate to say,
but I guess that is
people are starving to death in Gaza, but we're throwing food at each other.
I know.
Anyway.
So there's that. So the next story. This one's mine.
Let's move on here. All right,
this one's mine.
Go ahead.
This one's mine. I got to put this on the screen.
You have to do it.
I got to put this on the screen because people are not going to know exactly what the hell this is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is the new shoe from Adidas. Okay. So
nice pronunciation.
Sportswear giant Adidas and fashion designer Willy Chavarria have caught heat with their latest sneaker collaboration. Presented on August 3rd at the Museo de Arte de Puerto Rico, the Oaxaca slip-on is receiving backlash, accused of cultural appropriation. The shoe is also raising brows as it extends a pattern of fashion gentrification, taking flight in 2025. Willy Chavarria is one of the fashion designers continuously making headlines with cultural tributes to his Mexican roots, from celebrating Chicano culture to making runway statements in support of the immigrant community. Chavarria is generally at the forefront of fashion, politics, and cultural conversations. His latest sneaker collab, however, seems to have missed the mark. Now the internet and even Mexican authorities are calling on him for culturally appropriating the huarache. What is the huarache, you ask? I'll show you right here. So these are obviously like really old photos, right? Some mangled toes there. Huaraches are basically like a sandal. It's a traditional Mexican sandal. So they're saying he's culturally appropriating the huarache. The huarache is a Mesoamerican sandal tied to indigenous communities and ancient civilizations. Although experts and academics debate its origins, it's clear that the shoe saw its inception in pre-Columbian times. And we're saying Columbian as in Columbus, pre-Columbus times. Throughout history, huaraches have remained a staple of indigenous people and the working class, especially in rural areas. The designs have also evolved with material availability. During the 1900s, for example, the shoe featured a sole created from rubber tires. However, today, huarache makers also use leather and other materials. However, the signature element continues to be leather straps. They are generally woven to create a toe box that keeps the wearer's feet attached to the shoe. These straps can be as simple or as elaborate as the artisan makes them. But huarache's appealing design and cultural importance wouldn't let them stay on the sidelines for long. Today, they have crossed frontiers and become a symbol of Mexican craftsmanship. Adidas and Chavarria initially presented the Oaxaca slip-on as a tribute to the Mexican huarache. I'll pull that back up. This hideous abomination of a shoe.
But the sock doesn't help.
The sock does not help. However, the resemblance between the sneaker, I don't know how they're calling this a sneaker, but okay. The resemblance between the sneaker and the huarache.
It's not a sneaker. It's just a sandal with a sneakery heel.
Yeah, so it says the resemblance between the sneaker and the huarache from the Michoacan and Yalalag community in Oaxaca quickly sparked outrage in Mexico. Despite carrying Oaxaca's name, the shoe was reportedly not created with
They must not have a lot to get angry about in Mexico.
With the authorization of any Oaxacan indigenous communities. Since 2022, the general law for the protection of the cultural heritage of indigenous and Afro-Mexican populations and communities has protected Mexican traditional cultural expressions, requiring the authorization of intellectual property holders to commercialize elements tied to cultural heritage. In the Adidas and Chavarria case, the shoes were not manufactured in Oaxaca or in collaboration with Oaxacan artisans either. Additionally, as it happened with various collaborations,
cultural genocide.
As it happened with various collaborations and launches this year, the drop glamorized elements associated with marginalized communities, turning them into coveted items devoid of cultural value. Often referred to as makeovers, these types of product drops repackage cultural items, wiping out their significance and delivering items that are more palatable for the masses and, more specifically, the dominant class.
True.
President Claudia Sheinbaum. But here's the thing, Ted. President Claudia Sheinbaum announced on August 8th that the Mexican government is already analyzing legal action and an additional law to complement the existing legislation on TCE protections.
Meanwhile, the cartels run free, but okay.
It's fine. We got to deal with Adidas. At the same time, at the same briefing, Maria Nunez, Vice Secretary of Cultural Development, shared that Adidas has already reached out to Oaxacan authorities. As per Nunez, both parties are in talks about compensation for the plagiarism and cultural appropriation of collective traditional cultural elements. So, Ted, I'll tell you, when I was a kid, I said this off air. Basically, this top portion of this hideous Adidas abomination, it was basically a slipper shoe. It had a leather sole. It was like every kid in East LA, and that's the area I'm from. It's like the eastern portion of South Los Angeles. And it was a predominantly Mexican community. So guess what kind of shoes were like proliferated all through Southeast LA? The huarache. We all wore huaraches. I had huaraches.
Okay, but that's not
brown, white.
That's not what's at issue here, right? That's
okay,
the authentic item.
Well, but then, okay, I'm not exactly Mexican, and I was wearing them. Am I culturally appropriating?
I don't think that's the issue. The issue
is just selling shoes.
The Mexicans are not complaining. The Oaxacans are not complaining about who's wearing them or who's buying them. I'm sure if tourists go to Mexico, American tourists go to Mexico or French tourists, they're happy to sell them to them, right? So that this is about an American, or I guess is Adidas an American company or a French company or something else? German. Okay. So if they're thinking about this European countries company coming in and lifting the design, and which, frankly, Mexican law does prohibit, right? So as you explained, so that's what this is about. It's about whether a designer can do this. Now, there are lots of examples historically of this kind of thing. So back about in the late 1800s, early 1900s, Western women wore kimonos all the time as dressing gowns or exotic costumes. And that was like that's cultural appropriation. It was taking something that was used in a certain context.
Robes. Yes. So should you white people not be able to wear robes?
But basically, the kimono has different meaning in Japan than the way they were doing it. There was Orientalism in the 1920s. There was a guy named Paul Poiret. He had like this whole line called chinoiserie, which were silk roads with like dragons and stuff like that on them. Sure. And they kind of stereotyped and exoticized Chinese culture. Flapper stuff often mimicked Native American headdresses. There were Poiret's harem pants, and they were Middle Eastern and North African clothing were repurposed. I mean, the point is it goes on and on and on. After the Russian Revolution, Westerners adapted so-called fake, like kind of versions of, I remember in the 80s, malcaps were popular here in New York. I had one. I probably still have it
I
somewhere.
have one.
And so people, I mean, by the way,
I just
it's a
don't
good,
buy.
it's actually a really good hat. It doesn't look like it, but it's good in the rain because it has the visor. You don't really need an umbrella if you have a good Mao cap. But it was also the Nehru cap at the same time.
I just
I'm
don't.
just
I
saying,
don't buy this whole argument, though.
I don't
It's
think
like
that cultural appropriation is really a thing. It's not like when what's his name?
the guy, the designer, Willie Chavaria. He is Mexican American.
Right. But this is not
I mean,
like
this is
David
him at the top of the.
when he was
right
the star
here.
of Kung Fu. The problem there
No.
is there are 8 Chinese American actors who are unemployed. So they could have hired one of those. Here,
This is not that, though. This is Willie Chavaria is Mexican American. He's
I don't
a
even believe
designer,
cultural appropriation is, and I'm a leftist. I don't think that cultural appropriation is a real thing. I think it's bullshit.
I think it's stupid.
It's sort of like at that rate. I mean, that's what all cultural exchange is. The Silk Road was one giant act of cultural appropriation. When the
It's like if I get my hair braided, am I culturally appropriating black women's hairstyle?
The Italians culturally appropriated the tomato because that's a New World vegetable. And it was, imagine it's so.
I would argue they stole our noodles
to Italian cooking, right? So, and they never had tomatoes before 1492. So it's just like cultural appropriation is generally a good thing. Now he's profiting. I mean, obviously, if he had been copying a design that was trademarked or copyrighted, I think to me that's a serious issue. But that's not what we're talking about here.
But if he grew up in LA like I did, and this was a common shoe that we saw all over Southern California, and you grow up to be a designer, and you get a contract with Adidas, and you're like, I got a wild idea. Let me make the ugliest sandal sneaker that the world has ever seen.
Right.
Let me just make the ugliest
your
fucking thing.
Problem with this is the execution.
Oh, it's hideous. The whole. No, I don't believe cultural appropriation is a thing. If on St. Patty's Day, I wear green. Kiss me, I'm Irish.
Asians wear suits. It's true. Suits are Western.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't believe
Chinese women wear white wedding dresses, right? The traditional wedding dress in China is red. So,
in Laos,
the color of death, right? So, but they still do it anyway.
Right. In Asian culture, white is the color that you wear for funerals. You're freeing the soul. So, like in Laos, like my peoples, they wear the sarong has been part of our culture for like 4,000 years. And people wear that to the beach now in America. Like you put a sarong around your.
I'm sorry. It's sort of like this whole like we're gonna put a blockade around forms of cultural expression, and then we're gonna say. I mean, imagine if they do it with food, right? Like think of all the fusion foods. Think about the way food has evolved over the years. Think about how culturally it's evolved. I mean, how so is the American Constitution, which is inspired by the French Declaration of the Rights of Man. Is that an act of legal, political, and cultural appropriation from the French Republic? I suppose so. It's like, look, if there was
Robbie brings up a good point. What's the point of diversity without cultural exchange? I thought the whole point of this leftist. Remember, Claudia Scheinbaum is a leftist. She's cut from the same cloth. She was literally groomed in the non-dirty kind of a way.
I mean, look, it kind of annoys
me. It's
got to be kind of annoying, right? Like for black like blues singers who couldn't get anywhere, and then Elvis Presley like sort of like whites up what they've been doing, and then becomes rich, right? It's annoying. So, it's annoying. But what can you do?
What can you do? It is what it is. For me, I'm more offended by the hideous execution of this sandal sneaker. It's not. No.
Okay.
No.
That's
Germany.
Clear.
Stick with Birkenstock.
All right. And with that, we move on. Okay. Do I want a divorce or is this menopause? It's a question resonating with women in midlife when hormones are changing as their stress is increasing. Kids moving out and parents moving in and careers often at their peak. While divorce rates overall are falling, divorce among adults 50 and older are going up. In 1990, almost 1 in 10 of all divorces in the U.S. occurred between adults 50 and older. By 2019, that percent had increased to almost 1 in 4, according to a study by the Bowling Green State University's National Center for Family and Marriage Research. This coincides with the time most women go through perimenopause and menopause. Menopause and perimenopause, that's the time before menopause, aren't new, of course, but most doctors are recognizing it and treating women. More women are recognizing the symptoms and saying that it can bring clarity. That I call bullshit on. I don't think it brings any clarity at all. Their
sexist.
patience is gone. And by the way, when your patience is gone, you don't have clarity. And they're finally prioritizing their own needs. No, they're just grumpy. And often that means no longer wanting to be married. 7 out of 10 ladies blame perimenopause or menopause for the breakdown of their marriage, according to a survey in the UK. While most women say that many factors led to their divorce, I mean, that's certainly got to be true, they often say peri or menopause made them unable to tolerate problems they used to ignore. I hear it from patients every week, says Dr. Samina Rahman, OBGYN and sex and menopause specialist in Chicago. They might still love their husbands or partners, but they also hate them and could no longer put up with things they had been putting up with. Perimenopausal and menopausal women can experience a range of symptoms, from lack of sex drive to restless sleep, at the same time that their life may become increasingly stressful with raising kids and managing their careers. Perimenopause often starts around 40 and menopause around 50, but your mileage may vary. For years, men have blamed divorce on menopause and said women are irritable and irrational, says Alex Cabal-Frake, founder of The Agenda, an app that helps women track their periods. We hear this narrative from men. My wife is crazy, she said, but that's not it. Women are gaining clarity in perimenopause. No, they're crazy. And that clarity tells them to leave if things aren't good.
My God.
For some women, getting help for their symptoms improves their relationships. They feel better, and they can get along with their partner about changes such as decreased sex life, fatigue, and irritability. Dixon says sometimes perimenopause forces convos where men can step up and become better partners. The majority of women who had not received support or treatment for menopause said that if they had, it might have had or would have had a positive impact on their relationship, potentially avoided the divorce, according to that UK study. So, I mean, obviously,
I'm in that age group, Ted.
You never really know, right? Like, sort of, there's the whole Jared Diamond guns, germs, and steel argument, which is a lot of stuff that you think is basically like an idea you had. It turns out it was an infection. I used to live in Eastern Long Island, and there was someone did a study. They found that over 90% of people in divorce court in Eastern Long Island or in marriage counseling or couples counseling had one or both partners had undiagnosed Lyme disease. Lyme disease makes you fucking crazy. It makes you irritable and angry. And so, it's entirely possible that having Lyme disease is causing a big spike in the divorce rate. I think perimenopause and menopause is big changes. It'd be making ladies grouchy and mean. And so, it'd be leading to, they see clarity. No, they don't see clarity. They're just grouchy and mean.
Well, there's a little bit of truth to both. Before I get to my answer, shout out to our buddy Nerd in the Rumble Room for the donation.
Thank you.
And Nerd. He says, I'm pretty sure liberals obliterated the cultural appropriation argument when they took up the whole men can be women crap.
Well, that's sexual appropriation. So yeah.
But the argument is obliterated. That's true. That's Yeah. Are you gender appropriating my species?
That's not a cultural thing. I mean,
gender appropriation.
It's
he brings up a good point.
Or it's sex appropriation, perhaps more accurately. But
their impression of it, and it's impressionism of what my species looks like.
At that rate, like us cis white able-bodied males could say, like, hey, it's our culture to run everything and have all the best jobs and be president.
Well, yeah, that's the whole point. Is why appropriation is idiotic.
And when ladies think they want to do that too and be successful in business and in politics,
it's male culture to be the CEO or whatever.
They're appropriating our culture. It's the whole thing.
That's what I'm saying. The whole argument is insane.
It is.
Let me just say this about, because I am in that perimenopausal group.
That you agree with everything I just said about perimenopause and menopause.
I want to strangle you, Ted.
See, it could be. That's the craziness there.
That's the perimenopausal.
There's that grouchiness we're talking about.
It's, look, there.
The meanness.
It's the fact that no, hold on.
Before cruelty.
Unprovoked. So before the term gaslighting existed.
As unprovoked as the Ukrainian conflict.
That's right.
So unprovoked.
So there's another issue. If provided you're married to somebody that's age appropriate to you or close in age to you. So if a woman is perimenopausal or menopausal, chances are her husband is going to be andropausal. Men don't even, like, you guys don't talk about this, but it's basically the male version of menopause. It's the male version of perimenopause, and it happens simultaneously in the same age group. So if you're somewhere in your mid 40s as a male, you're likely going through andropause, and that is where your testosterone levels, if they don't decrease like bottom of the barrel, even if they were to remain the same, that's irrelevant. You actually get an increase in estrogen, and that's why you are starting to get man boobs and all of that stuff when you hit middle age. It's not a low testosterone issue. It's not a low T. It's a high E problem. So when you get women going through perimenopause and our estrogen levels are actually lowering, not that our test levels are increasing, they might be remaining the same. It's that our estrogen that makes us feminine and soft and lilting, the estrogen actually goes down in us and increases in you guys. So when you have this imbalance in both parties,
are bunny soft, and older women are mean and cruel.
Partially, there is a biological reason for this, and so the whole thing around gray divorce, like 1 in 4 of them of divorces are from people around age 50, so like middle age ish. There are also not only societal things at play here, so we just cover the biological potential reasons, but then you look at like familial stuff. Usually by the time you're in your 50s, your kids are young adults and they're out of the house, they're gone. Your children have been grown, and all the bullshit that we've had to put up with you husbands, well, we don't have to suck up and bite our tongue. We don't have to bite our tongue anymore. The kids are gone. They're in college or graduated. They're out of the house. And now you're like, thank God, because I don't have to put up with your dad's shit anymore. That's really what's happening. And it's yes, I would say the mental clarity comes from
there is
not
no
just
mental clarity.
hormonal.
The idea that women have mental clarity is
it's
hilarious.
That the kids are out of the house. That's why your head's fucking clear. It's because you're finally getting sleep and you're like, you know what? I'm re-examining my life, and this is not something I want to do for the rest of it. I did it for the first half. I don't think I want to do that anymore.
I don't know. So, I mean, women always talk.
This is another male ploy to put it on. You know the term hysterical, Ted? Mm-hmm. It came out of a male gynecologist removing the woman's, her biological part of her sex organs, like her uterus and her ovaries,
uterus,
as a hysterectomy. Mm-hmm. The term hysterical stems from that. Yep. And it was a fucking man that invented that. Just like a man invented high heels and a bra.
Observant. But it's like women.
It's all like, you guys owning the language and oppressing us biological females because you want to retain your hegemonic position in our society.
I think women doth protest too much. You always hear these like over 60-year-old women who are like, "Oh, I'm so happy. I don't need any guys." And they're all like skeevy looking and like, not all, but the women who say that, the women who say they don't need men and all that, like they're gross. They're like, they let themselves go. They're like,
they're like Rosie O'Donnell-esque.
It's kind of like there was this thing in the Times a couple of weeks ago about this sort of commune for like, basically women who are like, we will not have any men and we hate men and all that. And like, we're so happy. And then you read the whole thing and it's like, they're all bickering and fighting over stupid shit. Like that one let her cat out. That was an actual thing. She let her cat outside. I don't like that she lets her cat outside. It's like, okay, people are insane. I guarantee you that a community of all dudes who's over 60 can live in peace and harmony far more easily than a community
I would like
of
to
all
see that
ladies.
experiment. I would probably agree
Men
with
are
that.
much calmer, and they don't look for, the thing is, men know here, this is an important thing, really. I mean, I'm basically joking about most of this, but this I'm serious about. Men from an early age are learned that like any confrontation can lead to violence or even death.
Okay.
Like it can lead to a fight, right? Like, and you could be killed. So
Okay.
you're
Fair.
socialized over time to learn. Women don't learn that. Women don't do that. They don't kill each other. They don't beat each other up. So like
we
they
talk shit to each other. Yes,
they do, and they stab each other in the back, but metaphorically. So basically, men. So by the time a man is older, men learn.
There's no threat of death. Basically,
men learn
if
to
we have
like really
confrontation.
cool off on the drama and only say something when they really have to. For the most part, they let things go. Like most part, someone throws a sandwich at you, you brush off the lettuce and you're on your way, right? That's what an NYPD officer would have done. Just like whatever, asshole. You can imagine the indignities of an average
NYPD would have probably been like, "Hey, fuck you!"
Yeah, like, exactly. Fuck off, asshole.
Not on this day,
and that would have been right. And that's the way to handle that. And so, I mean, so that's what I mean. So, like, basically, men choose their battles more judiciously. I mean, obviously, there's exceptions, but I mean, on average.
Well, I think there's a whole.
I've worked in all male offices and all women offices, and holy shit, all women offices were a shit show.
I would agree. I told you, I back you on this. I would agree, but I'm probably like in the normal scale on the lower end of the estrogen levels for females, and I'll tell you why. As it turns out, so cruciferous vegetables, you know what those are, right? Like,
no, I'm scared. I think I'm going to fail biology today.
You don't know what cruciferous vegetables are?
No, it's one of my many deficiencies. One of the reasons I'm divorced. My wife was like, I'm perimenopausal. He doesn't know about cruciferous vegetables. He just can't even pronounce them. I'm out of here. Fuck him.
I need to ask producer Robbie. Do you know what cruciferous vegetables are? Don't look it up.
Not a clue.
Oh my God. Okay, so how is this fucking okay? Cruciferous vegetables are like,
is that like
broccoli,
the vegetables that Jesus was originally crucified with?
Yes, on broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts. So basically, like the really hearty, thick vegetable, like thick, stocky vegetables. Like those are called cruciferous vegetables, and they have specific chemical elements to them that actually help lower estrogen in people and in men and in women. So someone like me, I actually, believe it or not, I was one of those rare children that loved vegetables.
You're saying that you've been like chawing down on cruciferous vegetables, and now
I will eat raw broccoli. I've modulated, and I looked into this. It's not that I like lowered my estrogen. It's that I've consistently modulated my estrogen levels, which is why
no danger of that with me, since I really can't stand most of those. I like
weird.
Broccoli's okay.
For women, what it turns out it does, and perhaps that's maybe the case for me, I don't know, I'm just speculating based on research I've done, is that I remarkably am probably in my group of all of my friends I grew up with, the one kid that loved cruciferous vegetables, gobbled them up all the time.
All right, I get it.
And what it did when you hit puberty, as compared to all of my other friends, I never had real bad period symptoms, bloating, headaches, PMS, all of that stuff, whereas all my girlfriends did. Now, that could just be a fluke.
Yeah, you're an N of 1 here. That's not a very scientific survey. And you don't even know that. You haven't measured your estrogen. You might be off the charts. You might be like ridiculous, like super estrogen lady. You don't know that.
I don't think so.
You're just assuming that you're not.
I'm not, because of all of my friends, everyone came to me because I was like the least like hormonal and least emotional. Yeah, so everybody always came to me. I never had the bad period symptoms. No one ever knows when I'm on my period.
That's the illogical thinking of a perimenopausal or
yes,
menopausal woman.
but I'm just saying, I did the scientific research on it's something called DIM. Those are the chemicals that are in cruciferous vegetables, and it actually helps modulate estrogen levels for biological females and helps to lower an increase of estrogen in males because you have to have a certain balance. Otherwise, you guys turn into bitches and whine and complain too. And then we just get mean and no longer put up with your shit.
But then the men are like, you guys are mean and you're not putting up with our shit, so bye. And probably least, President Trump says he's considering reclassifying pot as a less dangerous drug. We're looking at reclassification and we'll make a determination over the next few weeks, he said at a news conference a few days ago. Though 45 states have legalized the use of marijuana for medicinal or recreational use, the feds still classify it as Schedule 1. Schedule 1 drugs are highly dangerous, addictive, and without medical use. Marijuana has belonged to this class of drugs since the Controlled Substances Act was signed in 1970. If reclassified, marijuana would be treated the same as drugs like Tylenol with codeine and anabolic steroids, which can be prescribed by licensed healthcare providers and dispensed by licensed pharmacies. Reclassifying marijuana would be the biggest change in medical policy the federal government has taken since the drug was first outlawed, but it wouldn't make recreational usage legal under federal law, which would, of course, then revolutionize the whole cannabis industry. It'd allow them to have better access to the banking system and so on. This all began back under the Biden administration when Joe asked DHS and the DEA to review how marijuana is scheduled. In 2023, HHS recommended that it be moved to Schedule 3. In 2024, DEA proposed a rule to transfer it to Schedule 3. That rule change has been on hold since March of this year. Trump says the decision is complicated. He's weighing the social impacts against the benefits for medical reasons. Some people like it, some people hate it, some people hate the whole concept of marijuana, he said. So interesting to me here is that Schedule 1 drugs are defined as highly dangerous, addictive, and without medical use. Well, we know that marijuana has medical use. No question about that. Highly dangerous is probably not true. But it's more addictive than it used to be. It is addictive. Yes. And so it's kind of like a hodgepodge. It is complicated, like the president says.
Well, here's why there's a hodgepodge is because the feds won't make it a uniform agreement on how to regulate the industry. If they uniformly federally said, okay, weed is going to be regulated like alcohol. You have to have an ingredients label or whatever, know how much THC is in it, know whatever else. Have you mixed it with this or that? This kind of kush, purple haze, this and whatever. Like all I knew is in the 90s, the stuff when my friends would come home from school at Humboldt State, that Humboldt weed was much more potent, but cleaner than the junk that you could find back home, like in East LA. There were different. That's when kind of the cultivation became like a thing. And it was no longer just plain old, like take a toke from the pipe. It became a different animal. But that's the reason anybody would say it's dangerous is because the very reason that the feds are arguing that it's not safe is because they're not allowing safeguards to be put in place. So you can't like create the problem and then say, that's exactly why we can't allow it. Well, no, if you did allow it, then you could regulate it like everything else, like pasteurized milk. It's the same fucking thing. And they're creating the problem because weed they don't want to federalize it and approve it because they know it's too easy for people to grow and it's going to be too hard to tax. I think that's the real problem is you can grow it in your closet.
Well, yeah, you can. Although these days there's not much reason to do so because
No,
even
but
in Montana, there's dispensaries, which I was shocked by.
oh, were there?
They're all over the place. Yeah, I guess it's the
Oh,
libertarian vibe of Montana.
oh, well, that's cool. Like,
But
I think I'm a fan of weed. I saw some of its medical uses on my
there's no
old
question
grandma.
about that. Yeah, there's no question.
Nothing worked to bring her down from her Joe Biden type. I mean, she was like that. She was saying
Mhm.
weird shit. And I'm not going to say how grandma had access to any weed.
Right. Well,
I'm not going to say how, but
right.
she got some, and she was actually, with her dementia, she was actually having lucid conversations.
Well, that would have disqualified her from the presidency.
Well, that's right. So my point is it satisfies the whole, medical use thing and all of this other stuff. If you made a federal law to approve it, then you can give
Well,
it a
no,
federal
look, you're right.
outline on
There should be.
how it needs to be produced.
Like, I think a basic principle of law is that the law, they say ignorance of the law is no excuse. But to me, the corollary to that should be that the law should be widely publicized and easily understood. And
Right.
That's not the case with marijuana law. People don't know. Like, for example, you can buy it legally in California, get on the plane at LAX, and technically you're breaking the law as soon as you leave the state and you're crossing state lines. Although if you go to the LAX airport website, it will say that TSA will not stop you. Even at most, they will confiscate your weed. They probably won't. In fact, they even say, don't rub it in our faces, put it deep inside your bag. They say that. So, don't just put it up on top. The agent might have to feel compelled to take it and bring it home to his house and smoke it with his wife. So the point is that it's but I think that's the problem. So I think, Manila, you're right. We need we need Congress to get serious and pass a comprehensive cannabis regulatory regime that everyone can understand.
Yeah. And Ted, we're going now for a fun Friday, but I got the perfect return food fight that the Homeland officer
good
could throw back.
That's what you've been like running in the background for the last hour?
A burrito.
Or a taco.
No, burrito, because it can be wrapped and long.
The insult against Trump. Trump always craps out, right?
So you can't do a taco. The burrito. The cop, the Homeland cop should throw a burrito back at this guy at close range, just like he was.
This conversation's making me hungry, but yeah.
I want a burrito. And by the way, the TSA, screw you guys. They opened all my burritos that I was bringing back from LA to DC the last time because it showed up. It had so heat coming from.
Yeah, it's a little gelatinous. Oh, really?
It was heat. So I put it through the.
They're like, oh my God, she's carrying the bomb.
They were like, oh my God, what is this? So it had a heat signal in it. So they were like, ma'am, we're gonna have to pull you aside. We found something, in this shape or whatever. And they were like, what's in your bag? And I was like, what? I was like, what do you?
It's like, I had the burrito, but I didn't.
It's the best burritos in all of LA from El Tacor #4.
Well, did they let you keep it once they ascertained
that
you?
They were like, okay, so they first thought I was a terrorist for a moment. Then before they unzipped it, they asked me to explain what was in there. Is there anything that's going to hurt them? And I was like, unless you're offended by the best burritos in LA, is that what you're looking at? And they pointed on the thing, and I was like, those are burritos.
And did they say, J'accuse?
So they unzip it, and they had to verify. They opened my burritos. I was so offended.
Well, did they take them or not?
No, they didn't take them, but they opened them. They defiled my burritos.
I hear you. With their those gross,
with their purple gloves and touched my burritos.
Blue gloved fuckers.
Yeah, blue. It's like, what the fuck, dude? Like, I'm gonna eat that on the plane. It's a long plane ride. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, the food's an issue. Yeah, I remember bringing wings on a plane. Ribs.
Buffalo wing, like wings.
Ribs from North Carolina. For my friend who was a huge ribs aficionado. And same thing happened. I got busted. Food is a problem on TSA. You always get.
I think it's part of big food at the airports. They want to take the food that you're carrying on because they want to force you to buying those shitty airplane meals
Robbie, let's have that
for
ad.
like
Put it
double
up,
the
please.
price. Oh, we got the ad. I think that's why, Ted. They want us to buy the shit airplane food for $20 for a charcuterie plate. That's what they want.
Yeah. Well, I think there's gonna be a party tonight at the TSA guys. They be like taking all of the ribs and the burritos and they're having a good time, and they're confiscating over 3.3-ounce booze bottles. All right, set your clocks, mark your calendars, and buckle up for the best NFL primetime football action starting September 4th on Westwood One. Catch all the bone-crushing hits, last-second heroics, and edge-of-your-seat action that NFL Thursday, Sunday, and Monday nights have to offer, whether you're tailgating, driving, or chilling at home. Don't miss a single snap. Listen on the NFL app, the Westwood One Sports app, at westwoodonesports.com, or just say, Alexa, open Westwood One Sports. I bet that works better if you have Alexa. But anyway, if it's the NFL, it's on Westwood One. Okay.
All right. There we go. We got a sports commercial today, Ted.
I know. That's very exciting.
That's amazing.
I didn't even screw it up despite my natural antipathy to sports. But
that's amazing. Well, thank you to Westwood One. All right, that's very cool. Okay, that does it for us. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody. I hope you enjoyed a fun Friday. On Monday, Ted, it's unavoidable. We're going to have to recap what happened in Alaska.
We will. Yeah, we will. We'll give
you
you.
Do you think they're eating traditional Eskimo fare, or would that be cultural appropriation?
Yeah, like the elephant seal.
Seal blubber.
Steak. Yeah.
Could be. Don't know. So we'll see. Setting out grandma to die out in the snow, traditional.
Oh, right. Well, yeah. Well, that's the meat for the bears.
That's true.
I mean, that could be.
You don't want to culturally appropriate, though.
Both Putin and Trump are eaten by polar bears while they're up there. I mean, that'd be a big story. And funny one, too. I would laugh at that story.
That would be.
Zelensky would really laugh at that story.
No, I'd rather see him eaten by a polar bear because I feel like he's hitchhiking through.
He'd only be a small nibble, though. The polar bears are apex predators. They need a lot more food than that.
He would. I swear he's like my size. While you were gone, he was meeting yesterday or the day before, meeting with Friedrich Merz, the German chancellor. And when he greeted him off the helicopter, Ted, I think Friedrich Merz might be your size because I think Zelensky's my size. And so he's like a little tiny man. Like
he is. He's small. Ukraine is big, but he is small.
He's a wee person.
Although Ukraine's getting a little smaller, all the time.
I think it's about to get smaller today, but we'll see what happens.
It's like Gonzalo's. It's a nation state on Ozempic. All right. We'll let that go.
All right. We'll talk about that on Monday and whatever other weird stuff.
Right.
Yeah, on Monday. So thank you guys for being here. Welcome back, Ted.
Thanks.
Producer Robbie, as always, thank you for making the show work. Have a great weekend, everybody. Let's in all seriousness cross our fingers and pray and hope for peace. Like, because really,
for real,
that's all we can hope for.
All right.
Adios, amigos.
I'll be back, and I'm on the air at 5:00 this afternoon with Curiosity.
Oh shit!
Deprogram.
I'm not here Monday. It's the first day of school, so I'm going to be at school.
Oh, well, so do I have a co-host? Have you found someone? Is Clovis going to fill in for you, or?
Oh, you might have to. It could be Clovis. You should ask Scott.
Well, Scott.
Or Steve Gill.
Or Angie Wong.
Because Mondays, or Angie, producer Robbie can't do Mondays.
Oh, really?
So we'll have to sort that out.
All right, we'll see what happens then. All right, we'll figure something out. All right.
So I'll be back Tuesday.
I'll see you Monday. And I'll see you at 5:00.
I'll see you guys Tuesday.
Eastern time. Bye.
5:00 Eastern live. Ted and John?
John Kiriakou.
Okay, that's it.
On YouTube and Rumble. It's Deprogram. Okay, bye.
Deprogram. Adios, amigos. Thanks for being here. Bye.
Bye.